Salutations, my fellow dudes and dudettes. Welcome back to The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Last time, after completing the Eagle's Tower, we made our way towards the final dungeon and fought this snake dragon turtle thing, I don't know. But that has opened the way to the final dungeon, so let's head on inside. This is Turtle Rock. I thought that loading screen was going to be a lot shorter. Alright, so I'm just going to give you a fair warning right now. This dungeon is long. Like, for your first time, it is easily going to take you in a significant amount of time. And if it didn't, well, cool. I'm glad you didn't struggle. But starting things off, we have that devil-esque, demon-esque monster that we just came across. Basically, it's going to try to avoid all your attacks, your jump slashes, preferably, because it's constantly flying in the air. Also, we got a blue variant of that mini-boss, he's nothing. But, basically with that one enemy, like, he's going to try and avoid your attacks the best he can, but once you slash it 3 times, they'll separate, and then they'll try to, like, I guess, suicide themselves at you. Become suicide bombers, and after they either hit you or whether they hit you or not, they'll just disappear. Also, we got a little mechanism we just encountered there. I don't know what these things are called, but here's how they work. Basically, when you push them, they'll create a surface underneath it. It's like creating a track. And it'll go in the direction that you're holding the analog stick. So if you're holding left, it will go left. If you're holding up, it will go up, etc., etc. And there are going to be certain puzzles, and there's going to be a few puzzles revolving a couple of those, in order to get like treasure chests and the like. Also, this dungeon is just like one big giant gauntlet of mini bosses. Like, we'll be fighting just about every mini boss we've fought up to this point, except for the Stephos Knight. We don't need him to come back; he sucks. But we're gonna be fighting practically every mini boss we fought up to this point. And that's on top of the new. That's on top of the mini boss exclusive to this dungeon, which is quite the doozy. Let me just say that boss sucks. And we've got a few number of rooms to traverse through because this dungeon is long, not only because of how much there is to do, but because this is the biggest dungeon in the game. You could easily compare this to, like, Death Mountain in the original Legend of Zelda, because of the size of the dungeon map. And it is shaped like a turtle, so that's cool. But, holy crap, this dungeon goes on for an absurdly long time. And for what it's worth, I don't blame you for getting fatigued by the end of it. I still find Eagle's Tower to be more interesting, at the very least. But I guess there's one thing that sticks out with this one. There's a bunch of lava. Oh yeah, those weird spinning eyeball things. Those are the things that shoot the laser. As long as you hold your shield out, you can deflect it. If you manage to deflect the laser back at it, it'll be stunned. Like, permanently stunned until you, like, walk out of the room and come back. And this is also an amalgamation of, like, every enemy you have potentially come across. Like, I think there's going to be a few piranha plants throughout this dungeon, as well as, like, Goombas and the like. I don't think there's anywhere to really go underwater. After all, we're in a volcano, essentially. Which I find admittedly interesting, but at the same time a little... Because there's a fire area, but there's no ice area. I guess it's a parallel to Link to the Past, where there was an ice dungeon. There was also a Turtle Rock, but Turtle Rock was more of just like inside of a mountain-esque dungeon rather than a dungeon filled with lava. And the thing that I find funny is the dungeon item you get in this one. But I'll get to that soon. I'll get to that fairly soon. Again, I'm just trying to make my way through this dungeon as best as I can based off of my test run. Don't be surprised if I sort of fumble a whole bunch, because again, this is a very long dungeon. Alright, with this one, you're just gonna want to follow what I'm doing. And again, it's all based off of what direction you're holding the analog stick. Not simply tapping it, you have to hold it. Otherwise, like, I think the thing would just go in whatever direction it wants, or like a default direction. So that's kind of obnoxious. Also, backtracking through this level kind of sucks too, because since there's so many rooms, it can be a rather pain. Now we've got the main central center of the room. You got this, you got the machine thing that'll obviously create ground for you to walk on. However, you're going to have to use that multiple times, and it resets. Sorry, I just sort of poked my mic a little bit. Like, you're gonna have to return to this room a few times, and it does reset whenever you do so. Yeah, it resets whenever you leave the room and come back. Alright, but for the time being, we're going to return back to the entrance of the dungeon. And we're going to use our keys that we've acquired. Well, actually, no, we're just going to, yeah. Because that's... Ooh. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Have a Dr. Thunder on standby. Oh, I apologize for that. But anyways, the most noteworthy thing with this dungeon when it comes to that main area is the fact you're gonna find yourself having to constantly teleport back to the beginning of the dungeon and doing that puzzle in a very differently than what you did previously in order to get to other areas. There are actually 2 staircases that you can't access. Well, you can access them, but you can't do anything going down them, going down those stairs or up those stairs. I don't remember. It's up. It's up. There are stairs going up. Also, you can fall in lava. These are Podoboos, essentially. It's time-based, so just wait for the opportunity to get across without getting smacked by one of them. You should be okay. Also, this is one of the other parts of the dungeon that I actually got lost at it for a little bit, because there's actually a cracked wall on the left that you're going to need to traverse through, later, though. Before you even think about coming to the room that I just went in, make sure you have 3 keys, because you are going to need all 3 in order to get through that area completely. And I do believe that also leads to the dungeon item. So, once you get all 3 keys, then you can backtrack through that area. You're also going to want to use your magic powder so you can light the torches, so you can actually see what you're doing. Also, we got the doggos here. Now, the reason why I'm ignoring them is because there's actually a key you can obtain from them, but unfortunately... you can't do it without actually approaching them in a specific way, which I will be showing in just a moment. And once we go up these stairs, you can actually leave the dungeon. Sort of. It's kind of like Face Shrine, but this actually has a purpose. Also, that is our final heart piece of the game. There's a total of 32. So once you acquire that, you can safely tell yourself you got all the heart pieces. Hooray. This is the reason why we wanted to come down here. Because you need to be able to take out the doggos from the top area. Otherwise, the key you receive won't appear. No, it will appear, but... I think the key, not only will the key disappear, but I think the enemies also reset. Well, yeah. It's either the key doesn't appear and the Dodongos reset, or the key does appear, disappears, and the Dodongos reset. Basically what I'm saying, you have to take them out from the top area, which is a lot harder than you think it is because you can miss time throwing your bombs over and over again. And it's, yeah, see, look at that. Like, you get, thankfully, unlike the later Zelda games, the bomb is not on a timer, as long as you're holding it. I don't know how that works, but whatever. So you can at least strategize about that. I don't know why that happened. Also, you can only throw one bomb. Also, you can only have one bomb out at a time. I probably should have mentioned that much earlier in the playthrough, but... And this Dodongo is being really annoying. And there's the chest with the key. Alright, that's one. Because we can't explore it without, Also, I think that, yeah, this is the test recording where my capture card decided to start bugging out, which really made me mad because the few parts I recorded before this worked out just fine, and then I got to this dungeon, it's like, oh boy, now I'm having those issues. Oh yeah, by the way, you need the bow for this. It's 980 rupees, so yeah, I guess I probably should have said that before, like, last part, but whoops. I think the hook shot will do the trick as well. I didn't try that though. All right, but we do have all three keys. Now we can head back to that previous room. Also, I should probably point out that the chest I ignored a couple times. That's another secret medicine. So once again, if you've already exhausted your secret medicine, you can pick a free one up right there. And it's also the last free one you could get. So enjoy it while it lasts. Use it while you still can. Because you don't get any more free ones after this dungeon. Unless if you ended up ignoring the previous two and the other two dungeons like I did. And if that's the case, I guess you could backtrack to those dungeons if you want, but... I apologize for that. I just from my headset. It is really hot in my room right now, and I'm struggling not to itch. Because when it gets hot, when it gets heated in my room, I don't have an AC, unfortunately. We haven't set one up in my room. My windows are weird. Also, I don't know I don't remember what I was doing here. Oh yeah, that's right, because there's actually another, that's right, because there's another room I could find by bombing this north wall. My face. And we're actually going, that's right, you need to hit this crystal. It's the only one in the dungeon. Just keep that in mind. This really leads to one of the staircases that you're going to be taking later. Again, don't even consider doing it until you have the dungeon item. You can't do anything in those sub-areas without it. However, I do think it's finally time we explored that area I mentioned earlier, now that we hit that crystal and the like. After I fix my TV issue again. Seriously, it's It's like I'm near the end of the game and I need to start having issues now. I didn't spend much on my capture device for clarity. I think it was spent like $67. Fairly cheap. But I don't think the footage looks too bad. I'm just kind of sick of having to do that. Like, I should be getting an Elgato soon. So I can fix that problem like lickety-split. Enough about that. I think it's about time we actually got back to where we're supposed to be at. So once we head to the left over here, alright, now we're at progress. So we got the first key right, so we got the first lock here. The second lock is over here, which you are going to need, you are going to, wait. Link, what are you doing? Oh yeah, that's right, because you have to get to the key, you have to get to the lock from that way. And once we go through this sub area, we can get this chest over here. After we fight our new mini boss. I don't know the name of this thing, I personally don't care, I hate it. I didn't fall into the issue that you can with this enemy, so basically what it's going to do is just going to try and box you like it's Rocky Balboa or something. So it's got some basic boxing jabs, however, it's also got this that attack and a wind-up punch. Please don't get hit by the wind-up punch, because if you manage to get hit by the wind-up punch, you get punched all the way back to the entrance of the dungeon. And when you backtrack all the way back here to get a rematch, its health is restored. So please don't get hit by that. Also, we got the magic rod. It shoots fire. You would think it would shoot ice because we're in a fire dungeon, so logically it would make more sense to use the opposite thing. Because when we were in the Ice Palace in Link to the Past, we used the, oh, yeah, when we were in the Ice Palace in Link to the Past, they provided us with the fire rod. So we can, do all those, so we can melt a whole bunch of stuff in order to, navigate through the dungeon more. But for some reason, you get the fire rod for a fire dungeon. It's weird. You don't get the ice, you don't get no ice rod either. And there's also no magic meter to boot. So you can just use that as often as you like. So that's cool. Also, this is actually going to be absolutely necessary for, the next set of chamber dungeons. In fact, I should probably go over that now as we're trying to navigate. Also, you can use them to light, far away torches, so that's cool. I should probably get this out of the way now. Part 23, the next part, is just going to be the last set of chamber dungeons. The last set of mandatory chamber dungeons. Because, once you complete this, this in, Eagle's Tower, or Eagle's Tower than this, you'll gain access to the last set of chamber dungeons, and your reward is a heart container. Not a heart piece, a heart container. It's the only way to get up to 20 by completing all those chamber dungeons. And I'm just giving you a heads up, one of them requires that you do not use your sword. I did create the best, I did create a good way of, a good setup of rooms, like a good layout of rooms, so if you just follow what I do when we get to part 23, you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. I believe there's also a 5-minute dungeon where you have to do it in 5 minutes or less, or your meal's free. I'm kidding, by the way. But once you get through all those chamber dungeons, you'll be able to get the heart container. And I recommend you can make sure you have that magic rod when you get to the one which requires that the one that requires that you don't use your sword. Also, I believe there's a 3 heart run dungeon too. And the thing that I find really strange is, like, you get a whole bunch of, like, really tough chamber dungeons you can complete after that. But I'm not gonna bother with those because I got all the secret seashells and I got all the heart containers. And I've already established I'm not getting all the chamber stones because of the 30-second requirement for the rapids race to get that one. And I can only imagine that the chamber dungeons will just unlock more chamber stones or something. So I'm not going to be doing all those extra ones. I'm only going to be doing the ones you're going to be seeing next part. And since it's strictly just going to be the chamber dungeons, that part will be completely commentary free. Like, I won't be saying anything. I'll just upload the part as I see fit. But now that we have the magic rod, we should be able to actually explore the rest of the dungeon. And stupid TV. Ugh. Alright, so first off, we're gonna go up these stairs. And the reason why we need the fire rod, the magic rod, is to burn all these ice cube things. And there is going to be a bit of a puzzle for the next one we're going to be doing. Like, if you don't do it correctly, you have to reset, you basically have to reset the room. Also, this guy's back. I believe this boss is actually, this mini-boss, I believe, is actually inside that chamber dungeon. So, just a heads up, you're gonna need the boomerang for this guy. I do believe arrows work, and maybe your hook shot in case you don't have either of those, in case you don't have the boomerang. But I'm just giving you that fair warning that this mini-boss will be included in that chamber dungeon. So, just prepare yourself for that. Also, this mini boss is kind of annoying because since it's in a room where it's strictly lava, it's a little harder to like try and like chase after this thing. So I primarily just stick to the bottom right corner because I feel like I have a little more space to work with, and I just jumped and slash when able. That's all there is to it with this guy. It's very nothing mini-boss, now that I actually figured out how to do it properly. Can you imagine trying to do it the way I initially thought, with a layout like this? I think that'd be literally impossible. Now that we managed to do that, we're going to be getting, I believe this is where the boss key is. Yeah, this is where the boss key is. So if you just follow it like so, you should be a-okay. Again, be careful because the analog stick can be a bit sensitive sometimes because it's an analog stick. Also, I think my controller started being goofy. No, it's my TV again. Thankfully, we're almost done. Because after we pick up the boss key, we can actually make our way towards the other staircase that you saw earlier, which will lead to the boss. But again, there's going to be a little ice cube puzzle that you're going to have to solve in order to actually get to the end. And if you mess it up to any capacity, you have to reset it. Thankfully, it won't take us too terribly long to get over there. We're just gonna basically teleport back to the beginning, make our way to the main chamber, and then go from there. Oh yeah, I probably should have said this. I'm not a fan of this dungeon. I think it goes on for way too long for a dungeon that's not even very interesting. Eagle's Tower is my favorite dungeon mechanically. I mean, Angler's Tunnel is my favorite dungeon, period, but mechanically, Eagle's Tower actually has puzzles that you have to think, actually has a recurring puzzle you have to think about. With this dungeon, there really isn't that much of puzzle solving. Again, the biggest draw with this dungeon is that it's large and in charge, and it just goes on forever. And again, as I stated, if it's your first time playing through this game, this dungeon is going to take you maybe an hour if you don't immediately realize what you need to do. I also don't know if this is actually the way to solve the puzzle, but that's how I did it on my test playthrough, and that's how I'm doing it here. Oh, thank goodness we're at the end. I don't have to rant on about nothing anymore. You're finished. I will never let you play the instruments of the sirens. Alright. Alright. Final dungeon boss. Hothead. Hothead is actually really simple. You just use your magic rod to shoot him, despite the fact that he's a fire head thing. Whenever he comes out of the lava, he'll spit 4 fireballs, like in 4 diagonal directions. And then once you actually manage to hit him with the magic rod, he'll start bouncing around like he's a pinball or something, ricocheting off the walls. And once you do enough damage, in just a moment, there we go, he'll just stay in the lava, and every time he comes out, you can just shoot him with the magic rod. After 4 hits, or is it 3 hits? Why did you come here? If it weren't for you, nothing would have to change. You cannot wake the windfish. Remember, you too are in the dream. Yeah, but I'm an outsider. I'm not part of the dream. So I can't disappear. It's like all these monsters are trying to scare you into thinking you're going to disappear with the island too, but you're not from this island at all. So that logically, that wouldn't make any sense. Also, we got the thunder drum. I don't know why I love how that sounds. Not the instrument, well, the instrument sounds pretty good, but just the name, the thunder drum, that sounds so manly. But yeah, I just found that strange, because the monster's trying to scare you into thinking you'll disappear along with the island. But if that was the case, that would mean you were part of the dream this whole time. And as we already know, that's not the case. And our last thing to do on our list is to wake the windfish. But again, part 23 is going to be the chamber dungeons. So I'm going to leave you off with part 23, but next time on The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for part 24, we're going to wake the windfish and hopefully wake up from this dream and say goodbye to all the people on Koholint Island. So until then, I gotta juice.